Hello, and welcome to Media Assault, the podcast about movies, music, and video games. Visit us online at MediaAssault.com or on Twitter at MediaAssault. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Media Assault, the podcast about movies, music, and video games. My name is Sean Kazat, and I'm your host. This week is Movie Week, and I've got a review of a superhero flick that you may not have heard of before. At least I'd never heard of it. I picked it up a couple of months ago at Walmart simply because the cover art caught my eye. The Blu-ray art is very reminiscent of the Dark Knight's cover art. There's a masked figure in black leather, and he's looking down at the camera, and there are flames behind him to his left. Really looks like the Dark Knight. And I happened to see it as I was looking at new releases back in February, and I picked it up just out of curiosity. I looked at the back of the box, and it read, "From the mind of visionary writer-director Jesse Haja comes the very first full-length superhero film from Finland." So I was intrigued. Superhero films have become so commonplace in American cinema that I thought it would really be interesting to see what a Finnish superhero would be like, and a superhero film from Finland. Would it try to copy American superhero formula, or would it try to add something special to the mix? I was intrigued. My curiosity got the best of me, and I plunked down $15 and bought it. It was a complete blind buy on a Finnish superhero film on a random February afternoon. But it wasn't until tonight, I guess technically it would now be last night because it's after midnight when I'm recording this, that I got around to watching it. And I have to say that it really wasn't what I expected. I'm going to review it, and this review will not include any specific spoilers, but I will outline the plot a little bit before I discuss the film. The story is incredibly simple. So simple, in fact, that I was really not sure that I wasn't missing something. It boils down to an evil corporation named Vala is producing this untested vaccine. And they seem to be driven only by profits, and they don't care that the side effects, or they don't care about they have little regard to the side effects of this vaccine. And they really didn't say, or I couldn't tell, exactly what the vaccine was supposed to cure, because the film's in Finnish, and it has English subtitles, but any kind of documents or newspapers that are shown on camera don't get translated, so it felt like details were literally lost in the translation. But anyway, the corporation has in its employ some serious thugs, and they are prone to violence and murder if it increases Vala's bottom line. So stepping up to stop the production of this vaccine and the company's unscrupulous methods is a masked hero who calls himself Rendel. And the origin of the name is explained in the film, so I'm not going to give it away. Rendel wears sort of a mask-helmet hybrid, a black leather jacket, black pants, and black boots, and he literally begins beating the bad guys, sometimes to death, in an attempt to get them to change Vala's business model. But who he is and how he came to be is something that the film does explain in due time. One thing that immediately struck me about Rendel, aside from it being a Finnish superhero film, is the fact that it resembles the superhero films of America in the late 1990s. It's not massive in scale, it's not attempting to be epic. It's simply about a hero who has one goal in his vision, and he will stop at nothing until that goal is achieved. And I can't think of any superhero movie that I've ever seen before that didn't include any noticeable CGI effects. That's how small scale this movie really is. It's one man against many. There's no aliens, there's no robots, there's no supernatural elements really. It's just a good guy versus bad guys in really intense physical combat. I'm sure there is CGI in the movie. Even dramas nowadays have CGI for some reason or another. But any CGI in Rendel was done so for aesthetic purposes only, and they didn't try to turn this into some sort of blockbuster type epic. Like Age of Ultron, the Avengers film, comes to mind. There's no, lifting of entire cities into the air or anything like that. Actually, fans of martial arts movies may like this film's style. While it's not as choreographed as modern martial arts films are these days, most of the action is hand-to-hand fighting. And it's actually rather visceral, as much of the combat is between these very large, stocky men who like to repeatedly punch each other in the face. It's not excessively gory, but there is a lot of brutality, and that may be off-putting to those who are used to Marvel and DC's usual sanitized brand of violence, where people get punched and thrown around and there's little to no blood. This is more along the lines of, say, The Punisher Warzone, or Logan, or Deadpool, if not quite as visually graphic. And apparently Finland does not produce large budget films as a rule, and Rendel is a very modest production, but the smaller production costs didn't mean that the movie looks cheap. Actually, far from it. It's a very slick-looking film with stylish lighting effects, effective action scenes, and very fluid camera work. It never had, I never got the feeling that it was made, with a GoPro, with somebody running around with that shaky cam feel of cheaper, all-digital productions. And from what I was able to find online, the producers attempted to raise some money via an Indiegogo campaign that was meant to further tweak the visuals of the movie. And I'm not sure how much was raised, but it looks like the majority of the budget ended up on screen in some form or fashion. And the characters are surprisingly well written. It is, the movie does fall flat a little bit in the dialogue delivery. Some of the actors alternate between English and Finnish, and their English delivery sounds like it was spoken phonetically in a lot of cases. I can't really comment on the Finnish dialogue because I don't speak Finnish, but the English subtitles that are provided occasionally don't make a lot of sense. The movie is available on the Blu-ray in English dubbed, I guess, but I did not watch it that way. If a movie is available in its native language, I tend to watch it that way with subtitles. Anyway, with the badly translated subtitles, there are some scenes that you kind of have to piece together on your own, like what are they talking about? But since the story is so simplistic, there's very little chance that you're ever going to find yourself getting confused. I did like Rendel, the hero, his motivation. I liked that it was very focused, and it was more focused than, say, the big budget superheroes. He's not trying to stomp out evil globally. He may be thinking globally, but he's acting locally. He's a lot more like Daredevil in that he stays in his neighborhood and does what he can to stop the local bad guys. And as a character, Rendel doesn't have a lot of personality. A lot of superhero films will force the hero to take off their mask so you can kind of read their face a little easier. Here, Rendel always has his mask on. It never comes off. But he still has a little bit of a sense of humor, at least in a couple scenes, and the film definitely has a sense of humor. I'll let you discover that part of the film on your own. It's not what I would call a hilarious film, like, say, Deadpool, but it does feature at least one really good laugh-out-loud moment and several well-earned giggles. Some critics have penalized Rendel for being a little bit too much like Batman or the Punisher, and I definitely do see those comparisons as valid, but Rendel really boils down to a simple good guy versus bad guy story. One man rises up to face those who do evil. And that's pretty much any superhero movie when you get right down to it. So how different is one superhero movie from another when you get right down to the nitty-gritty. And there are a lot of action movie cliches present, like the ever-popular guy walking away from an explosion without reacting shot. But overall, Rendel, the movie, overcomes its shortcomings by being fun and exciting without really trying to overreach its grasp. It never tries to be something it isn't. So, Finland's first superhero film, to me, is a winner. And I'd really love to see a sequel as long as it keeps things as focused and powerful and visceral as the original film. So I'm going to give Rendel Dark Vengeance an 8 out of 10. Rendel is available on Blu-ray and DVD from Shout Factory, and I'll put a link to the trailer in this episode's show notes, and those are available as always for this and all the other episodes of Media Assault at MediaAssault.buzzsprout.com. And that's all for this week's Media Assault. Next week is Music Week. I do always look forward to having you as a listener. If this is the first episode that you've listened to, please feel free to go back and check out some earlier episodes and stay tuned and subscribe for future episodes. Feel free, as always, to drop me an email at sean@media-assault.com. You can also drop me a line on Twitter at MediaAssault, and that's one word. Media Assault is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and Stitcher, and is hosted on Buzzsprout. Thanks again for listening, and take it easy.